Welcome to my bedroom. I thought I would change things up a little bit since I'm filming a Q&A today. Now today I'm literally going to be an open book. I'm going to be open and honest with you guys and answer your questions that you guys have submitted through Instagram. If you guys are not following me already, jump on Instagram and hit follow. So I've received a bunch of questions and we're going to be covering topics about me, relationships, body image, sex, periods, what else? Plastic surgery, an array of things. I did also receive a lot of questions about career, making money on YouTube, finance, that sort of thing, but I think I will save that for a separate video. So this video is going to solely focus on the other topics that I mentioned previously. Now, if you guys have been following me for a while, I think a lot of you guys would see me as a beauty guru because I post a lot about makeup, beauty products, services and whatnot. But I feel like that's only one side of me. I feel like there's so much more that you guys haven't gotten to see or know. And that's why I feel like a video like a Q&A is the best type of video to kind of like let you guys in on a more personal level. So now is the time to grab your drink, get comfortable, get cozy, and we're gonna have like a girl chit chat. Oh, also I want to mention that with these type of videos, I'm always going to be including some sort of giveaway just as a bonus to you guys and a thank you for tuning in. So today I'm going to be giving away $200 vouchers that you can use on any of my brands, Petite Cosmetics or Mark and Scribe. And if you want to find out how you can enter, later in this video I'm going to pick like one of the questions that I have here that you guys have asked me, and I'm going to ask you guys for your answer. And so stay tuned for that question. But yeah, let's dive into it. Don't mind me, I'm just getting comfortable here. Alrighty, so first off, I got a lot of questions, just like general questions about me, like my age, my nationality, or my background, my height as well. And so I'll just like touch on me first. So I am turning 30 next month in July 16. Where are all my July babies at? Woo! So yeah, I guess I'm no spring chicken anymore, but yeah, big 3-0 coming soon. My background, well, I'm Australian, but my parents are from Vietnam, and so I'm Vietnamese. I grew up in Australia, and I'm currently living in Singapore. I am a petite girl. I am 157 centimeters. I think that converts to like 5'2", or is it 5'1"? I don't know. All my American friends help me with that conversion. So I've been in Singapore for 2.5 years and it's honestly amazing. It's grown on me. I love it here. And my move to Singapore was really spontaneous. Like Alfred and I had friends that moved here previously for work and they love it here. And so we've been hearing lots of good things about Singapore. And I had been to Singapore twice for like holidays or a bit of work. And so I know like what this country is about. I know how safe it is. I know they have really good food. And best of all, everyone speaks English. So I love that about Singapore. And I've always had that want to like live overseas, live abroad, experience that life because I was born and raised in Australia, Sydney. I've never lived anywhere else but Sydney. And so seeing that Alf and we don't have like kids yet, I thought, you know what, why don't we just try it? And within a couple of weeks, we like got our paperwork done. We went through all the process to get our working visas. And then not too long afterwards, we sold everything we had. We sold all our furniture in Sydney. And then we packed like 2 or 3 suitcases each and moved to Singapore. And in the beginning, like my visa actually got rejected like 3 times. And so when we had moved to Singapore, only Alfred had his employment pass, his working visa, and that's how we got our apartment. And I was just on a tourist visa trying to get like my approval, and I kept getting rejected because I look really bad on paper, you guys, because I didn't have a degree, because I didn't go to uni, I didn't have this extensive work experience to back my skills up, because I mainly worked for myself and I freelanced. And so when I like submitted my application, I just looked really bad, and they're like, what the hell, how is this girl gonna work and make money in Singapore? And so I kept getting rejected, and so we kept like adding more documents to improve our case. And by the third try, I finally got my visa, like after 5 months. And so that was really tough, but we got there. Now, the things that I love about Singapore is like I mentioned before, the food, the people, everyone speaks English. Also, I feel like if you travel a lot, Singapore's a great base to be. The airport here is amazing. If you've been to Changi Airport, you know it's like the best airport in the world. Also, work-wise, I feel like Singapore provided a lot of opportunity for me. It was definitely very tough the first year, because I had to just like get my foot through the door, make all my contacts again, like make new friends. And it was just like hard, because I'm not like an extrovert per se. But now it's really good. Plus, like income and business tax is a lot lower than Australia. And so Alfred and I are able to save a lot more of the money we earn. And so that's a big factor for us as well. Obviously, I do really miss Australia as well, because all my family and most of my friends are there. But usually we travel back to Australia every like 3-4 months. It's just this case of like the coronavirus that's kept us here, but usually I would go back pretty often to visit. And so I would get my fixes and what things I miss and the food that I miss like when I go back. Eventually, Alf and I do want to move back to Australia, especially when we have kids, because we want our kids to grow up and have similar experiences to what we had. But I think our priority right now is just to focus on work and literally just save all we can to buy a place back home. Just get my tea ready, because I'm going to be serving some tea. No, I'm not. Okay, so I feel like I need to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on my past marriage, and then answer the question like why we got divorced. But okay, so he was my second like real boyfriend, and I was 18 when I met him. We dated for 2 years, got engaged and got married afterwards. And so at that time I was really young. I was like 20 years old, he was 25, so I feel like still very young for a guy as well. And both of us were still like growing up, we was trying to still figure ourselves out and what we wanted in life. And honestly, after I got married, like things just got real. Like you go from partying on the weekends, like just living life and being a 20-year-old. And then when you get married, you got to think about all these other things down the track, like, okay, like buying a property or having a family. What am I going to do with my career? Like things just kind of like got real for me. I felt like getting married was such a big milestone, because, you know, you grow up and you see people get married and you're like, oh, that's such an adult thing to do. And so after getting married, things just got really tough for us. I felt like he was that type of like bad boy party type, liked to go out, was like always involved with friends. And for me, like, yeah, I went through that stage as well, but I felt like I was like growing up a bit faster than him. Like I kind of wanted different things. I wanted to focus on like, okay, I need to find my passion, my career, finances, and like all this other stuff. Whereas he was seeing life a different way, and he wanted to go down a different path, and I was just like complete opposite. And so for a while I just really wished and tried to change him, which is never a good thing to do, ladies. If you are spending your time and effort trying to change a guy, it's not going to work. It's not worth it. I feel like you need to find someone that's already that person you want to be with. Lesson learned. And so that made our relationship really rocky. We would have these big fights, and like 3.5 years later we had that conversation. We were open and honest about just like what we wanted from life, from our relationship, and we just kind of both agreed to get divorced. So that part was kind of mutual. But also around that time, okay, here's the tea. Around that time, I kind of had a feeling that he was sort of seeing someone else, because he was like going out, coming back late, and just partying a lot. And I didn't know the people he was hanging out with. Like previously when he would hang out with like the guys and stuff, I knew all them, but now like the group had changed a little bit and new people were there, and I had a feeling that maybe he had a girl on the side. But anyway, like we had ended things, and the week that I moved back home to my parents' house, that weekend I found out that he was like out, maybe at a club or something with this girl, because my friends saw him and they called me up and they were like, oh my God. And it was kind of like, it was really shitty because at that time we hadn't really announced that we were like, that we were getting separated or like, you know, going through this divorce thing. It was really fresh. It was literally like the week after. And so like my friends are calling me up and be like, your man is with another girl. Did you know that? And so I'm like, okay, well, they don't know that I'm going through this thing. We're not together. But it also sucked because I knew who that girl was. Now, I'm not gonna say she's a friend because clearly she is not a friend. But like before, when I was still with my man, when I was out and she'd see me out, she'd be like, hey babe, do you want a drink? And clearly she kind of knew that, you know, we were together because we were married for like 3.5 years. And so it was kind of like shady, but whatever, they're not together anymore. And bygones are bygones, and honestly, I'm really thankful that I went through all that and like that crappy marriage, because that kind of led me to meeting Alfred, who, by the way, is also divorced. So it's kind of like crazy, and I feel like, oh my God, like it's destiny for us to meet. And so I feel like that really bonded us, and that kind of like all the lessons that we learned through our past relationships, we've been able to use that to improve the relationship we have today. So it was a win-win. I felt like there were a couple of times that I felt like I could be pregnant because my periods are always very irregular, but nothing that intense. Like I think around those times, if I had been pregnant, I'd be okay because, you know, I had my job. I felt like I was like a mature adult that I could take care of a baby, but not really when I was younger either. Never really had a pregnancy scare. Currently, I am not on birth control. I feel like with Alfred and I, for us, it's like if we fall pregnant, we fall pregnant. It's not like a big deal to us. Well, I mean, it is a big deal, but like we're not trying to really prevent it from happening. I feel like we're in that stage of our relationship that, you know, we're ready to have a family, and if that comes, great. But previously, yes, I was on the pill. I've only ever been on the pill. I've never had like, what do you call it? I forget what you call it when you get that thing in your arm. So I've been on like a number of different pills, and in the past, I've always had really irregular periods, and so I feel like being on the pill helped regulate my period, or occasionally I would like just miss my periods and like intentionally just avoid it. But yeah, I've been on the pill, and how's that affecting my body? I didn't really get any bad side effects until I got off the pill. I like started breaking out, my hormones were out of whack, I had all this acne around my chin, my back, my chest. And so that really sucked. But I started taking this little, what is it called? This little supplement. It's called Vitex, I think, and it helps to regulate your hormones, and that kind of got things under control within a couple months. And then now my skin is like this. Okay, so for me, I was like one of the first ones in my group of friends at school to get my periods. I was 12, and I remember it so vividly. My family and I had gone on like a fishing trip, and we had come home, and so like I'd gone to the toilet and I realized, I'm like, oh my God, I just got my period, and I felt so scared. Like I was like, oh my God, what is happening? I felt so scared and nervous for some reason. Like I was nervous to even like tell my mum, and she was like washing the dishes, and I would just kind of like creep up behind her. I'm like, Mum, I've got my periods, what do I do? And she's like, oh, like it's okay. And she went to grab a pad, and mind you, I felt like it was like I think it was like an overnight pad. It was like a big long pad, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? This is what I have to wear and deal with like for the rest of my life. Well, not for the rest of my life, but like from now on. And yeah, it was just strange. Like I remember that night I cried to myself secretly. I don't know, I guess I was just like overwhelmed with emotions. And I guess, you know, it's normal for a lot of people to feel like that. And I was always really self-conscious, like when I was wearing my clothes, like, oh, can people see like the lining of the pad because I felt it was so big. But things got better because my mum took me to the shops. We bought like smaller pads and like the lighter ones for me. And eventually like some of my friends started getting their periods that year as well. And so it became normal and I just adjusted to the whole thing. And so yeah, that was my experience. I've used both in the past. Usually I'm more of like a pad girl. I'll use tampons if like, I guess like if I don't want that bulky feeling of a pad, if I'm like going out or something. But actually recently I just switched to the menstrual cups, like the period cups. I was really like, like against it at first. I was like, oh, that's weird. That's this like big weird cup thing in your, you know, your hoo-ha, that's gonna feel weird. What made me switch over was when I was in New Zealand, we went like snowboarding and I got my periods, and so I was like, oh my God, I don't wanna be changing like my pads and like tampons because you're in like all these heavy gear, right? Just taking on and off, like taking your snow boots off, that's like a mission already. And so when I went to the pharmacy there, they had the menstrual cups and I was like, oh, maybe I should try this because I heard that you don't have to change it that often, like once a day was enough for me. And so I tried it, and at first, let me be honest, it was a struggle. Like it takes a bit of maneuvering and practice, but once it's in there and it's in there correctly, you can't feel a thing, and it is the best thing ever. Like now I don't ever have to buy pads and tampons again because that gets expensive. I kind of wish that I switched over sooner, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I would recommend you guys try the menstrual cups. It comes in all different sizes and stuff. I don't know the brand that I use because I threw away the box, but I just went for the smaller one, and it did take me like a couple of tries to get it right, but after that, you would love it. It is amazing. Though you kind of need to get past the whole cleaning it out bit. I always start laughing when I think about this because it's like a funny bad date, okay? So obviously this was before Alfred. Actually, it was kind of like right before Alfred. I went on this date with this guy. We had dinner at a Japanese restaurant. He happened to be a dentist and he was complimenting my teeth. And he was like, oh, you have really nice teeth. And I was like, oh, thanks, like they're veneers. And he's like, oh, really? Can I look at them? And so we're at dinner and I'm just like, just letting this like guy that I barely know stare at my teeth. And I'm like, well, that is one way to feel very self-conscious. But yeah, anyways, and so the night carries on and we're having a conversation at dinner. He's telling me about work and a business plan that he has, business idea. And so I'm just, you know, giving him my thoughts. And afterwards, like after that conversation ended, he was like, wow, I'm really surprised. And I'm like, at what? And he's like, you're much smarter than you look. And I'm like, huh? Did he just give me a backhanded compliment? And so obviously after that, I was like kind of annoyed, but thankfully I had plans to go meet my friend in the city nearby, and he offered to drop me off and drive me there. And so I was like, okay, cool. And we're in the car, we're still talking. We're on the topic of like what we look for in a partner. And he says, oh, I really like a girl who takes care of herself, and I can really tell that you do. And I'm like, oh, really? How? It's like, oh, don't laugh, but by looking at your feet. And I'm like, what? He's been staring at my feet secretly this whole time. I was wearing like open toe shoes, and so I was like, ugh. I was like, yeah, I can tell because you have nice feet, and so if you take care of that, you must take care of everything else. And it was so funny because I just burst out laughing because all I could think was like, oh my God, this guy has a foot fetish or something. I need to escape. We're definitely not going on a second date. Anyway, so I like burst out laughing to the point that my saliva flies out on his windscreen. And this guy's like reassuring me, oh, I don't have a foot fetish. I definitely don't have a foot fetish. And I'm like, clearly he does. And yeah, like that just, he dropped me off, and that, I never saw him again. Sorry guys, I had to quickly move because the sun was creeping up on me. I don't think a lot of you guys would know this because again, I don't talk about it. It's not something you just whip out and just tell everyone. But I did get breast augmentation, and this was a while ago. It was like 9 years ago. So I was quite young, I was 20, and I just hated the way my boobs looked. Like, I felt like I had a very odd shape. I lacked a lot of volume. I was a B cup, but my boobs were like this weird triangular shape, and I just was very self-conscious. I didn't like them, and so I did this thing for me, and afterwards I went from a B cup to a D cup. So I got round implants. I think it was 300 cc's, 350. I don't really remember because it was so long ago, but I did get the silicone textured implant. And like, now looking at myself, I mean, I like the way they look and stuff, but I kind of wish that, you know, I viewed myself better back then, because the older I got, like, the more confident I felt about myself, and not really let certain parts of me really define who I am. And so that's just like a lesson that I've learned, like, growing up as I got older. What else can I tell you about it? I got them done like underneath, and so I have my incision scar under here. My scar healed like really well. I didn't get keloid scarring, so that was fine. You can barely see it now. And yeah, I feel like that's all the things that I feel like you guys want to know about it. If you have any more questions about it, feel free to let me know below. Apart from that, I have gotten double eyelid surgery. I got the stitch suture method with a small incision, so it was like a combination of both. But this eye, I feel like the stitch or the suture has kind of gotten loose, and so my eyelids are uneven again, and now I use eyelid tape to even them out, especially when I'm doing tutorials and looks for you guys. Chances are the night before I've stuck on double eyelid tape, and so when I wake up it looks more even. And so that's something that I've got done. What else? Oh, veneers, I guess, is that, I mean, that's kind of like cosmetic surgery, so I'm gonna just pop that in there. I've had veneers done. Those are the three main things that I've changed. I have had fillers in the past, but they like dissolve afterwards, and I had my nose bridge done and my chin filled, and this was like a couple years ago. That's all pretty much gone now. I feel like I went through a stage where I was like really into like improving my looks and tweaking this and that, and so I went through the whole filler path, and now I'm just like, honestly, I'm kind of like too lazy to do that. And also I don't feel like it's a big concern of mine anymore. Like, this little bump around my nose used to bother me, but now I'm just like, whatever, I don't really care about it. It's not like who I am. What I do now mainly is just Botox. I get Botox on my jaw, my masseter muscles. That helps with my clenching and grinding my teeth at night. I usually get really bad headaches. And so I've been getting like that once a year for a while. Maybe also like since I was 20. It's just something that's always really helped me. And only up until recently, I tried Botox on my forehead because I'm really expressive and I feel like I have all these lines and stuff, especially when I'm editing my videos. I'm like, ooh, I feel like I am getting more lines. And so I've had Botox done on my forehead twice. Oh, and FYI, I'm like open and honest with you guys, so I don't really want to see all those comments about like plastic surgery, blah, blah, blah. You know, like I would appreciate it if you guys didn't leave any mean, nasty comments, because honestly, like, that does affect me, and maybe if I see that, I don't want to share and be open with you guys, and so let's just be nice. I feel like this is interesting because I don't feel like I'm super confident, but maybe you guys see a different side of me, obviously on camera when I'm talking about beauty and things that I love, then maybe this sort of confidence comes out. But I'm a normal person. A lot of you guys would have insecurities, and I do too. I think though, I don't let those things define who I am as a person. For example, like I mentioned before, like a little bump on my nose, or like, oh, my arms feel really fat today, or maybe I'm not in the best shape, but I don't like obsess about it now, and I don't beat myself up about it. Whereas before, when I was younger, I'd be like, oh my God, I need to change it. I need to fix that. I need to be perfect. My view has definitely changed. And I think, especially being in this line of work, you get a lot of critiques and stuff. And it took me a while to build confidence. And it's something that I always have to keep working on because, you know, like I mentioned before, if I see some comments or negative comments, especially about, you know, I've said something wrong, the way I look, sometimes that does really hurt. Like, words can be weapons. And so at the end of the day, I know that I'm always going to have to work on my confidence, and it starts with up here. Like, I need to control my thought process and like how I dialogue with myself. How am I speaking to myself? If I look in the mirror and I'm always like, oh my God, like, oh, you're so flabby here, or you've gained weight, or, you know, like, or saying all these negative things, I'm gonna end up feeling really bad. It's gonna make me unhappy and I'm gonna dwell on that. But if I look in the mirror and change my thought process to like, oh my God, like, you have a great smile, your skin's looking excellent today, you were glowing, go get it. Like, if I kind of amp myself up like that, I feel so much better, and I switch my mood from being a negative Nancy and into like gratitude and appreciation. Appreciate the things that I have, that I'm good at, that I've achieved. It just really changes the way I view myself, and I feel like that's like the best tip that I can give anyone wanting to boost their self-confidence. It always starts with up here. You need to stop all those negative thoughts as soon as they come in and switch it out for a good one, because that's going to really change your life. It's going to make you a lot happier too. Oh, we are getting personal here. Hopefully Alfred doesn't mind me sharing this, but Alfred and I we have sex maybe once a week or once every fortnight. Obviously in the beginning it was a lot more, but we've been together for how long? I think it's been almost 4 years. I lose track of time. Out of all the relationships that I've had, like long term, this has been the relationship that I've had sex most often, and like, it's still, the fire's still there, if you know what I mean. In like, for example, in my last marriage, in the last like 2 years, we only had sex like once a year. That was bad, like real bad. It's definitely not healthy. And I knew sex played such an important role in a healthy relationship. And so when I started this relationship with Alfred, like, we always kind of like make a point to be intimate, because I feel like that's the key separation between like, oh, just a housemate and your actual like boyfriend, partner, fiance, your actual partner. Otherwise, if you kind of just go on too long and it becomes a normal thing not to really have sex, I feel like for us at least, we lose that connection or that intimacy that really helps build our relationship and makes it stronger. Now, another point that I want to add on, and this might be like too much information, but I feel like it would help with a lot of women out there. I used to always be really scared of initiating sex. Like, I don't know why, but I felt like it was the guy's job, or maybe I just feared rejection. And that's something that I've actively tried to change with my relationship now with Alfred. Like, I'm not scared to initiate it. Like, I don't feel like I have to say it's his job to do so. I just take matters into my own hand, and I feel like that's kind of like helped us keep our spark alive, if you know what I mean. And you know, obviously sometimes we're not in the mood, or like, you know, the other person might not be in the mood, but I just don't take it to heart anymore. The old me was like, oh, I initiated that one time 3 months ago and you rejected me, and now I'm like turned off from sex completely. But now it's like, I don't take it too personal, because obviously, you know, everyone is feeling different on different days. You're not always going to be in the mood, but I feel like once you're comfortable with that, with your partner, and you don't let that rejection get to you, and you just know that it's just life, everyone's going through their own thing, you just become a lot more understandable. Now, this next question is a question that I want to ask you guys for the giveaway, but I'll answer it first. So the question is, what's the one thing you want to change about yourself? Now, I picked this question because it makes you really dive within and kind of like reflect on who you are as a person. And I guess it gives you time to just like think about okay, how can I improve and what would I change? And so that's why I picked this question. I really like it. The one thing that I would change about myself is nothing exterior. I feel like it's more to do with how I manage my time at the moment, especially because I'm at home all the time. I feel like lately I've been lacking the motivation to do work or to do better work and really just dive into my passions. I've definitely had a hard time with finding the motivation, procrastinating. And the thing that kills me is like, I know I can do so much better, but then you just get trapped in all these things online and you're scrolling through social media, and then before you know it, time's gone by and you're like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. And so that's one thing that I would really want to change and improve on is my time management. Now it's your turn to answer the question, what's one thing you would change about yourself? Leave your answers below. Also, let me know, what would you spend the $100 voucher on? Petite Cosmetics or Mark and Scribe, so I know, because I'll be picking two winners, one for Mark and Scribe and one for Petite Cosmetics. As always, I'll leave more details in the description box in regards to the giveaway. Sorry guys, the sun kicked me off the bed and now I'm sitting on the floor. Well, the old Tina would have just bottled all that up inside. Like if I ever felt jealous, if I ever felt insecure, I would just like keep it inside, and that is not healthy whatsoever. And what would happen in the past is like, if I had an argument about something small, that would blow up to something bigger, and then all these past issues would come up and I'd start blurting out how that person hurt me like 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and just like, it was just really unhealthy because eventually that stuff kind of came out, but just at a later stage throughout the relationship. And so what's really helped me and Alfred with our relationship is that we both did the love language test, or like quiz. In case you guys didn't know, there's 5 different love languages that people send or like receive and give love. And so let me read them out so you guys know what they are. Words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So after you do the quiz, you find out which ones are most important to least important on your list, and you can compare it with your partner because chances are it could be different. So how this has helped me, say for example, in the past, I'd feel really like insecure when I'd notice Alfred would stop booking nice dinners and date night and stuff, and I'd kind of think to myself, I'm like, oh, does he not love me as much? Or did I do something? Is something up? And I'd kind of like dwell on that and think something bad's happening. I'd feel insecure about myself. Maybe I'm not doing this or that. Maybe we're falling out of love, that sort of thing. But I realized after doing the quiz that quality time is one of my like top love languages, and so I need that quality time with the other person to feel love. But with Alfred, that's not on top of his list. His list is like gifts and acts of service. That's the top 2 on his list. And so, you know, at that time we lived together. We saw each other every day. It's not like we didn't spend time together at all. So for him, going out on date night wasn't that important as it was to me. And so knowing that and kind of being open and communicating that with your partner, it definitely helps, because sometimes like if I'm insecure about something, it's kind of like all in my head. I kind of just like form this opinion, but when I talk to Alfred about it, I get to hear his point of view and be like, oh, actually no, that makes sense why he didn't do this or why we reacted this way. At the end of the day, I think the key takeaway is to be really open and have that communication line with your partner. Don't just be like old Tina and bottle things up, because that never goes well and you end up looking crazy. Now this has actually been on my mind a lot lately because I'm turning 30 soon, big 3-0. I feel like that's the time where a lot of women tend to start thinking of having a family, or you know, you got to start planning. And I feel like I'm at a good stage in my life and in my relationship with Alfred that if we were to fall pregnant tomorrow, it'd be okay, things would work out. And so I do want to have kids in the next few years. I feel like because of this quarantine, it's probably got me thinking a lot more about it. Plus my cousin just had a baby and I'm like, oh, they're so cute. And so I am getting clucky. Let me know if any of you guys are feeling the same. Plus my mum has been like nagging me and kind of like secretly just hinting at, well, she's not very secretive about it. She'll just straight up and tell me up on FaceTime. She's like, oh, you should have a baby. You know, don't worry about like getting married and having the ceremony. Just have the baby and you can celebrate later. And so my mum's really funny and she's like, you know, just being a mum, you know. Hopefully you'll see our little Tinas and Alfred running around soon. Now the question is, would you guys watch me if I started reviewing baby products? That could be a high chance. We could do Tina Tries It, but like baby product edition, baby Tina tries it. All right, so that was a lot of talking on my end. I hope I didn't bore you guys and ramble on too much. And I hope that you guys actually feel more connected and you've gotten to know me better, and I'm more like a big sister to you guys now. Virtual hugs. Honestly, it's so nice to be able to just sit down and chit chat to you guys. I just feel like my audience, you guys are so much more. I feel like you guys are my online family members, you know, my teenies. And it's just really nice to be able to share other parts of me that you guys may have not known about before. Please do like this video and let me know your thoughts, and if you want to enter the giveaway, make sure you answer that question below. I will do another Q&A, more regards to the other questions relating to career, money, work, that sort of thing. So I've saved that for another video because this video would have been like way too long. So please stay tuned for that. I will do another giveaway for that video as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If there's any questions that you want to ask me, you can ask below or follow me on Instagram. I'll do another Q&A post so you guys can submit your questions, and I'll keep them anonymous. So you can literally ask me whatever you want. And that's it from me. I shall speak to you guys next time. Bye. Oh, I think I have a dead leg. Oh, shake it out. Shake it out.
Sunny